the Time to Level Up podcast. I am thrilled to be here with you as usual. So today we are going to have a client of mine, Michelle. Michelle's been on the podcast before. She was actually on the podcast way back in the day, one of the very first bonus podcast episodes. She's an artist, but Michelle and I met each other in working. And in the intro of She Thinks Big, the book, I talk about my previous work experience and what drove me to do what I'm doing right now. And in that, I don't want to give it all away, but I describe how I felt like I was inside a box. And I know Michelle, because that's how I met her, felt like she was inside a box too. And slowly, both of us have emerged from our boxes and are doing something that we are passionate about. Now, she is an abstract artist. I am not an abstract artist, and I have zero talents in that category. And I don't think she wants to be a coach. So that's good. We both are doing our own things that we're passionate about. But what's interesting to me is that even though we were both super successful in our previous careers that I discuss inside chapter 1, and we are both super successful in what we're doing today, that there's still some doubt that pops up, and it's still a process, right? It's a process. And we go through stages in our business where something is really bothering us, or we've got one roadblock and we get past that roadblock, and then we get to another roadblock, and then we get past that roadblock, and then we get to another roadblock. But Michelle, 2 solid years into her business now, 2.5 solid years into her business, is really not experiencing those roadblocks in the same way. She is feeling free. And it's because she has shifted from just being interested in her business and melding her passion into a business to being committed to it. And she's really rocking it, my friends. She's really rocking it. It's really fun to help her along the way and to watch her as this becomes more and more of an amazing business and people start to recognize what she's doing. So if you haven't read that intro to She Thinks Big, go to shethinksbigthebook.com and you can access the intro in chapter 1. Or if you're listening to this after the books come out, you can access the whole book. But you really should listen to that or read that story. So you can kind of get a sense as to both where she and I came from. And then it's been my pleasure, though, to help her emerge from that box, kind of right alongside her in a way, and grow a business that is an amazing one. So sit back, buckle up, listen in to my conversation with Michelle Capizzi, abstract artist. Hey, Time to Level Up listeners, welcome back to the podcast. So I have today with me one of my favorite people who I don't usually talk to in this format here that we're doing now. So this is feeling strange to me, but we're going to do this. I have Michelle Capizzi with me, and she is an abstract artist. She creates beautiful work. I have had her on the podcast before. So if you go back to way back in the day, probably with the first 10 episodes, the episode, I think she's maybe bonus episode 2. Don't ask me why, but that's what I think it is. We recorded that in the beginning of 2021. And here we are 2 years later. So I thought it was about time I had her back because she has just evolved. Her business has evolved. She's evolved too, but her business has evolved. And I think a lot of it has to do with her just thinking about her business differently and thinking big. So, Michelle, hello.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Tell us all about Tell us about you. Tell us about how things have changed.
As Andrea had said, I am an artist. And 2 years ago, I used that word maybe not as confidently as I do today. I was just kind of coming into my own and realizing that I was going to start this business 2 years ago. And I went kind of from a passion to a business, and my business, I feel legit these days. I don't feel bashful to say I'm an artist anymore. I'm embracing the idea that this is a business and working my way through it every day, learning.
Yeah. So fun. So, okay. So tell us, like right now, let's just tell the audience in the last couple months, some of the amazing things that have happened to you that maybe like what pieces of the puzzle or what pieces did you put in place, do you think, to make them happen? Like I'm thinking in my brain, I'm thinking of like, okay, Seneca Tower. Tell us all about that. Like, tell us how that all happened.
Yeah, there's a few different components to this. First, I'll talk about some amazing opportunities, but then I want to talk about kind of some mindset for me that changed, that has brought that to it. In the past, my gosh, 6 months, I have a full schedule, and I use that schedule as in 12 months. Currently, right now, I am booked in commissions up until probably February, March. That means that I have continual commissions going steadily. I have a show right now that is going on at Seneca One Tower. There's a wonderful workspace called Serendipity Labs, and I have my own private show up there of 18 pieces. And currently I have sold more than half of them. I also have been selling many pieces off my website and getting credibility. And I use that word loosely because it's not like you need credibility from other people, but it is nice that when people in the community, people in the art community, people that you don't even know are coming up to me and saying, I'm enjoying your art and tell me more. Whereas 2 years ago, when I spoke to you, I would have people say, I had no idea you did this. And why are you doing this? Now people are actually asking, tell me more. And I think that is one of the biggest evolving moments for me, because I'm finally at a point where people are looking at the art, they're enjoying the art, and they want more. And that is, it's an incredible feeling and a big moment for me. Because as any artist would tell you, it's a very personal journey, especially the type of art I do. You don't really look at it and say, this is that. It's a story. You have to delve in. You have to look at the textures, look at it. And there's a lot of explaining and emotion that goes with it. So when someone wants to know more, and whether they know me or they don't know me, that's a really big moment for an artist to accept and to move on and to feel really good about.
So how do you think this, like what had to shift in your mind for these opportunities to present themselves?
One is committing to painting or creating daily. Now, every day am I at my studio? No, but if I'm not, I'm writing, I'm creating, I'm taking photos, I'm journaling. My head is always in the game. It's always in the studio. It's always on canvas, whether it's physically with my hands or in my head. Really important. The other is not being bashful to say, I'm an artist and this is what I do. And more importantly, this is my business. This is my livelihood. For years, as we talked in the past, I stayed home for many years and raised my children. And I did this, but I didn't show it. I didn't use it as a business. Now people understand this is my business. I've taken it very seriously. I've worked myself into the community and showing people that not anymore is just Michelle the volunteer, but now Michelle the artist. And I've turned, yes, I still do some volunteering, but now I give art as to auctions, to, other things. I've made it very clear that this is who I am and how I'm doing it. Cute story. This past show I had at Seneca One, they were great about including me in the community and doing advertising. It's because I really have committed and I've said, this is it. My studio is not in my full-time home. My studio is in our, country home. And I've just said, this is my hub now. This is what I'm doing. It's not always as comfortably socially, but for me, business wise, and committing myself to this. I had to do it. And I just.
So I'd call this like shifting from, like, I think when we talked 2 years ago, you had established your business, you had your website up and running. You were interested in making it a business, but now I think you're committed to making it all the things you want, like to making it a forum for you you're passionate about what you're doing and you love what you're doing. And so you've kind of been able to better meld, or you've like your passion with the business aspect.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But, a lot of that comes from confidence, comes from time doing it. If anyone jumps into this, and I've talked to some other people, I'm like, you got to stick with it. And in time, you'll get confident. And I think nobody is a one-hit wonder here in this business. No. And as you and I have both seen with many other, aspects of our life, if you don't say, this is what I'm going to do, and fully jump in, you don't.
So because the first thing you said creating daily, right? So you committed to creating daily, like you went all in, both feet.
Yeah.
Both skis.
And I don't apologize anymore for maybe I can't be there for other things, because I've really said, this is my business. My husband doesn't apologize when he can't make a dinner something if he's on trial and working. And I'm not apologizing anymore for, I created 18 paintings over 2 months. For me, that's a lot. And these were big scale paintings. And I just said to everybody, I'm not apologizing for, I have work to do. And this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to get it done.
Yeah. So what did you have to tell me about? Like, I know you said, like, I have to silence all the noise in my head. What do you think the noise was telling you that you had to quit listening to?
Me thinking, what do other people think? Mm-hmm. Me thinking, she's just doing this on a whim.
Mm-hmm. I know one thing. You thinking that like there is a right way to do it. Like,
and then other people, is she really going to make a business of this, or is just a little, it's just a short fling, And then as I've had my art out, instead of people saying to me, oh, I didn't know, people are like, tell me more about your background. It's very interesting how the conversations,
the questions have changed.
People ask me more about the stroke and the feeling. It's not just like, oh, we're just throwing things on the wall. They're really understanding, I've established more of my style. I've established more of what my meaning is. I've established who I am as an artist and a business person. And they do go hand in hand, because you have to run a business also, which I don't always love, running a business.
Tell us about running the business. Tell us about running the business.
Oh, it's a daily struggle. I really don't like spending time on my computer anymore. So, like this last show I just did, and because it's in a space where I am not in a regular, there's not gallery people
running
no gallery,
it. Right.
It's in a space where people who I may or may not know are looking at it. So I had to come up in my head with when someone looks at this piece on the wall, how are they going to know what it is? How are they going to buy it? How are they going to purchase it? So I spent time coming up, QR codes and, all that. The other thing that's really hard, and I still struggle with it, and I'm getting better, is I think in my head a price before I start. And I kind of know that. I know all that. I know the formula. I have a formula. It is right. And then I put it up and I say to myself, oh my God, like, I'm still not charging enough, and it's a tough challenge. It's a really tough challenge. I think I'm finally getting to a point where people are seeing the value. People are seeing what they're getting for the size and the story and the quality of my art. The more I'm out in public, the better that is. Internet's great and people can see things. But I think until people physically see your work, they don't appreciate the quality and the time and what's going into it. After this last opening, it was very interesting. That evening alone, I had 4 people talk to me and commit to commissions for the future, including
Tell us
one
what
who
does a
held
commission
back.
mean? What does a commission mean?
The commission means that I make a personal piece for somebody for them. They're not buying it off the internet, off my, existing gallery. They're asking me to create a piece. Some people are asking me to create a piece for their home. Some people are asking me to create a piece for their business. Some people are asking me to create a piece for their office space. Behind me, I'm doing a series right now for a company that is just kind of forming. And, they basically said, can you kind of come up with a piece that will represent our business, our story? So really the commission in the way I do it is telling somebody's story, whether it's for business, whether it's for, a hotel and, what is their kind of theme or mission or that kind of thing. What are they trying to convey? Everybody has a story. And that's really what I do on Canvas. And when I'm doing a commission, I'm doing a personal story for somebody or a business.
I love that. So who do you think how is your viewpoint on who your ideal client shifted? Because I don't think it's exactly the same person that it was on day one.
No, it's kind of interesting because I thought I saw your notes before and, that was a question. I thought about it and actually it's kind of, I don't think I have the ideal person. One of it is because I've always wanted abstract art to be something that is attainable for everybody.
Yep.
Because I feel as though many people go into galleries and they don't understand it and they don't know. So I don't want to say that my perfect person is, the business that wants 20 paintings or, the person who wants me to go in and do, an 8-foot by 6-foot painting. My client could be anybody from who wants a, 12 by 12 to bigger. It's more about, for me, the ideal client is about somebody who wants to learn more and and have a story.
That's ding, ding, ding. That's what I think there. Like,
It's not, it's,
that's what I think.
I don't want to think of it as, it's, and I like that about my business. I like that I don't want to use the high and the low.
Yeah.
Because that's not true. I want it to be people who want to tell their story on Canvas, being their business, being their who they are. That's my ideal person. Not the person who says to me, "Can you paint my dog? Can you paint my house?"
Right.
Those aren't.
You want people who want to tell
lots of artists who are, and I'm happy for them. But that's not me.
So what I think is interesting is a lot of times when I talk to clients about ideal client, my clients about their ideal client or their ideal customer, it's very demographic. Like, well, it's someone who's 50 years old, who lives here, who does that. But there's also a component that I always talk about that I call psychographic. So there's like demographic and then there's psychographic. And really, your ideal client is all about the psychographic. It's the person who wants someone to help them, which is you, tell their story on Canvas or whatever the medium is, like who wants to help you're the storyteller.
Yeah. And I did a really interesting commission not too long ago. And when I do a commission for a person or a business, a very large part of it is I spend a lot of time getting to know that client. I mean, a lot of time. I really get into their head. I send them a questionnaire and I ask them everything from not just the room, not just the colors. I like to ask people where they travel, what they eat, what do they like to do, all sorts of things. So a couple in Florida had asked me to do this commission for them. And they're the most lovely couple, but they're very different people. And the wife was very specific. She wanted these specific colors. She wanted to make sure that it looked beautiful in the room. And the husband was kind of all about the emotion of it and the idea of it and kind of into that. And then as they came and they saw it for the first time, because I don't always get to see everybody's reaction because a lot of times I send out of town. They happened to be in Buffalo at the time. So they came and saw it before they took it to Florida. And like their face to just see that I could marriage these two personalities and their story on one canvas was like, that's the magic. That's
the magic.
That's the magic. Yeah.
So it's exciting to see, like, I've noticed how you've really, like, just you're looking to really become involved in someone's story too. It's not just like, tell me your story and I'm going to put it on canvas. You want to be in the story. And that's
absolutely.
how you create the best. That's how you create the best.
Without a doubt. And I also too, I'm big on music. I love music. I love sound. It's like my thing.
Yes.
And I ask people too, like, what do you listen to? So I'm not a big country western person, but I've learned a lot about country western music because there's a lot of people. Believe it or not, I have a lot of people who like the Grateful Dead. I've learned about the Grateful Dead. I mean, it's cool that because I learned, that helps me get the motion, get the flow of them.
So how is this like, how do you think this is a shift from, how is this big thinking? Like if I said to you, how has your shifted into even bigger thinking?
Oh, I didn't appreciate before. For me, it had a lot to do about time and appreciating myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't appreciate it as much 2 years ago as I do now. And I also appreciate my voice much more because it took me a while to say to myself, stop asking my own questions and just say, this is me. I have a voice. Time is important. Time means everything to me. And to say, what I'm doing has meaning. What I'm doing is affecting people when they're, happiness and joy. Or some people, it's just that moment of like, oh, I can look into my painting every day and just see something and feel good. And so I have shifted my mindset to understand what I'm doing has purpose and has meaning, and appreciate I'm one person and I have one voice, and my voice, meaning my time on campus, is powerful.
It's super powerful. So what do you say to people who are like, I could never make a living or create a business out of doing something creative, or I'm super passionate about art and creating art, but I could never make that a business, or it's just not going to be profitable, or no one's going to buy my stuff. Like, what do you think about that?
I think interesting. I've had a lot of people talk to me lately about having creativity and whether they were going to use it for a business or not. And one of the first things I say is what I go back to before. You have to embrace it and do it every day. It has to be a thread in your life, whether it's, whether it's going to a gallery, whether it's reading a book about other artists, whether it's, painting, drawing, sewing for some woman, it has to be woven into your life. It has to be a part of your life. I mean, I think of it as it's as important as brushing my teeth every day. My creative part is really important. And I say to people, you have to make that a component. And some people say, well, I have kids and I have this and I have that. I mean, if I have one regret, and I don't want to use it as a regret, I did put it aside years ago, and I never should have, but I did, and I can't go back. But I say to people, it may not be that you can give it all full time right now, but give it what you can and when you can. And when you're feeling like you're in a regular groove, then show a little of it. I don't say do it when you feel great about it, because nobody at first feels great about it.
Exactly.
I don't know who does, and God bless them if they do right away. But I think a lot has to do with getting that groove and do it daily. And when you're doing it daily, that's when your magic and your voice start to turn and then start to show it. And then do it slow. Do it slow. You don't have to. This is a marathon. This is not a sprint.
Right. But I think if you're in the daily groove, okay. So no matter, I hear this all the time with business owners. In fact, earlier today on a call, a woman who's a web designer, if you're listening, was saying that she always feels like she's getting interrupted. Like she just can't quite keep herself focused for periods of time. I'm not even going to say long periods of time, for periods of time. But what also I think is interesting is that I don't think she's in a groove of committing to herself to, like you said, creating daily. And I think that's like, you almost have to commit and get in that groove of committing daily, of creating. And then the distractions, although they'll be there, don't seem as distracting, number one. And you're also get more confidence and kind of boldness to push them out too, to just like, to say, no, I can't do that right now, or I'll tend to it later.
And also too, the more you do it, I find, especially as a creative person, the more you do it, the more you crave it.
Yeah.
So it's like exercise. When you get in the groove and you love it and you have that kind of, endorphin going from exercising, that's how I feel when I get on the canvas. I have an endorphin rush. And I don't know if that's exact, technical term, whatever. I mean, I get a rush every time I get on the canvas. I get a bigger rush when I get into a new project. I have a stack right now of commissions. I only go from one commission, and I might look at the next one. I don't look at the next 5 before, only because I don't want to get distracted, because when I'm all in and my head is moving and working towards it. So I don't want to miss it. I don't want to miss a day on my canvas because I love it. Now, next week I'm traveling for a few days. I'll make sure I see a gallery show. I'll, read a book, and I usually read, fiction, but then I am always usually reading some kind of book about an artist or something else. I'm always trying to listen to a podcast. I mean, there are other ways than just being on canvas, but you really have to, you got to be all in. My cousin always uses that term, all in. And it's such a good term because my business is me, myself, and I. Mm-hmm. That's who I am. I don't have a team of 1 million people. I don't have all this other stuff. So me, myself, and I have to advise myself where I'm going and how I'm doing it. And that's a great feeling to think I can do that. I can
totally do that.
I'm doing it. And is it perfect all the time?
No.
But it's okay to say, all right, the other day I billed somebody twice by mistake. I wrote back, I'm very sorry. This is new to me. I'm figuring it out. I'm a new bill. How many people in corporate America make huge mistakes?
Yes.
We can make, as I think as female entrepreneurs, we feel as though we have to be perfect. We don't have to be perfect. We just have to do what we love and stay in the game. And I'm sorry if I make a mistake.
Yep.
Okay, I hear you. Next day and brush it off and move on. Heck, everybody else does.
It's totally true. So, all right. So you got to keep your head in the game.
Yeah.
You got to be consistent. You got to create daily. You have to see yourself in a different light, right? Like you've got to see yourself as like you said, I'm legit. Like what I'm doing is worth it. People need what I have. People get what I have. And even if they don't get it, that's okay. Eventually they might get it, right? You're not worrying about what they're thinking so much.
If you're starting a business as an artist, you can't, you told me this long ago, Andrea. I can't.
What did I say?
You can't worry about the exact dollars you're bringing in. You can't worry about, that's not, if that's the business you're looking for to make a lot of money right away, that's not your business. This is not your business. Okay. Mm-hmm. I mean, you will get there and you're making money and that's great, but this is not a quick quick cash business kind of idea. I think you have to look at it that way. You can't look at it in dollars and cents right away. I remember when I first started with you, I'd be like, oh, I just want to have enough money to cover my painting expenses. Well, now I got past that. And now I think of like bigger terms and bigger ideas, but I'm happily making money. But at the same time, I'm now taking money and investing it back into my business.
Yes.
Whether it's I'm, coaching, whether it's I'm, going to a seminar, whether I'm, taking a trip to go see a gallery, whether I'm, hiring a photographer to help me take better photos so that it looks even better to everybody else. Things like that are important. And now I'm at the stage where I'm investing it back into my business. And that's a really good feeling also.
I love it. I love it. All right. Last question. How would you define thinking big? Someone said to you, what's thinking big, Michelle? What would you say?
For me personally, thinking big is believing in yourself.
Yeah. It's believing that's possible.
Giving yourself the grace to take on some jobs that you can do really, but you're nervous and still taking it. I took on some commissions this year that I did not know. I tried some things new. I said, please trust me. If this doesn't work out, we'll go. But I did it. Taking on that show and thinking, how am I going to do 18 pieces in that many months? Yes. Sometimes saying yes without knowing every single detail, for me, who has thought out every detail of her life to nausea, this is like that. That's a better way to say it. Believing in yourself and taking on some things that you're 95% sure think you can do, but you got to give yourself the grace to do it and the time to do it.
Love it. Well, this has been super fun. I love watching all of go follow Michelle. All right. So where should they follow you? Because I was going to say, go follow you on Instagram and listen to your music and watch you paint.
Yes, I would say Instagram is the best place. Although I do have a website, michellecapizzi.com. I'm sure Andrew will attach that in the notes. If anyone is in the Western New York area, go see my show at Seneca One Tower on the 29th floor. It's up till the end of the summer. And but watch me dance and paint. I'm there a lot on Instagram.
She's there. She's creating daily. Believe me, she's creating daily. All right. So my friends, think about this. What do you need to commit to daily? What do you need to create daily in order for your business to grow, in order for you to grow as a person? This has been super fun. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Okay. So if you don't feel like putting on some music, pumping it up, if you don't feel like dancing and listening to music and running around your house with a paintbrush, I don't know. You probably need to listen to this episode again. Can you feel the excitement that she has for what she's doing and how she's evolved and her business has evolved and her mindset has evolved into one that really embraces this bigger thinking and who really appreciates herself more. She feels better about who she is, and that is coming out into her artwork, and her clients and prospective clients are recognizing it. It's time for you to do something like this in your business. It's time for you to step into some bigger shoes, some bigger thinking. So go read the intro of She Thinks Big. You can access that at shethinksbigthebook.com, or go read the whole book. Check out Michelle's on Instagram. You'll have fun watching her. All the links are in the show notes. Let's do this, my friends, because now's the time to level up. If not now, when? See you next week.